Okay, so hey everyone. Today we're going to talk about how understanding real user behavior and reducing guesswork will save you probably a ton of time and money on development. Um, but before we dive in, let me give you a quick introduction and share my background. So I'm Valeriy, CEO at humandown.com, a design and development agency focused on Web3 protocols. Since 2021, we have worked with over 30 Web3 protocols, such as Camino, Marinade, the Breach, Exponent, and so on and so forth, saving them over $300K in development costs. So here's what we are covering today. First, the problem. We'll look at what most startups get wrong at the early stages and what it actually costs them. Next is solution. We're going through the exact process we use to validate user behavior before development starts. Then I'll show you outcomes. So we'll see what actually changes when you do these things right. After that, I'll share a few samples, things like to keep in mind when you run the user research yourself. And we'll finish it with something like from Human team for free. So the problem we see in 9 of 10 startups that come to us in their early stages, most of their product decisions are made under uncertainty. And without a structured validation layer, they default to assumptions. And those assumptions lead to a chain of problems. So it starts with the build process itself. Your team go through the rounds of prototyping, internal brainstorms, maybe you can even do some competitor research and maybe a few user calls. Then comes the design, development, months of focused efforts. And after you finally launch, the real problems begin. So because the product was built on assumptions rather than validated behavior, users arrive and immediately get lost. So they don't know where to click, they can't find what they need, and your support like inbox fills up and bounce rates climb. The team like scrambles things on the fly, which burns even more time. And this is where it really gets expensive. Every hour spent building on wrong assumptions, every support ticket, every rush fix, it all compounds. And the frustrating part is that the most of it was like pretty avoidable. It all comes down to one thing that was missing from the very start. The question is, how do you validate the ideas before you build? And the response is pretty simple. You run user tests. So this is the core what we do at Human. Before a single pixel is designed or a line of code is written, we run structured user tests to understand how real people actually behave inside your product. Now the question is how to run these user tests. Well, it all starts with getting clear on what you want to find. So the first step will be defining your goal and your user flows. You start by writing down what you actually want to find out. You ask yourself where users might get confused or what completing this flow successfully would look like. Then you take that goal and map out the steps you expect users to take to reach it. That sequence become your foundation for everything that follows. Next, you turn each step in that flow into a concrete task a real user can complete. And there are a few rules that make a good task. So first, it's one task covers only one step in the flow. It all comes directly from your calls and user flows. It needs to be clear enough to understand, but slightly challenging to users. So you actually learn something from how they approach it, how they try to resolve it, and so on and so forth. So here, what does it look like in practice? For example, instead of saying, click the stake button in the top right corner, you say deposit funds to the position with the highest APY. Or instead of go to the dashboard and deposit funds, you say start using the app by connecting your wallet. So that you give them the goal and you don't give them like the, like exact step-by-step path. So then you take those tasks and build an interactive prototype in Figma around them. So just enough to test whether users can actually complete each one. So it's pretty simple thanks to Figma functionalities. Now, once your prototype is ready, it's time to actually run the test. So to run the test, you upload it directly from Figma, so the whole prototype, to any user platform testing. So we use Maze, but Useberry or UXTweak work just as well. So they all take a prototype and structure everything into a test automatically. So this is how it looked like in the end after you upload it. So you just name the task, you give it a description from the previous steps we've just covered. You choose a task type, and then, that's basically it. Oh, and the final step is just you click the start testing button, and you start sharing to users with super plain text, like you send the link directly to users, whether it's Telegram, Discord, or email, whatever. The great thing about it is that they complete it whenever it works for them, and you get the results without having calls, finding the time that works for all of you. And if you have 10, maybe 20 users, to be really complicated. So once users complete the test, you get the results in a few different formats. So first one, you look at the heat maps. They show you exactly where users clicked, and more importantly, where they misclicked. Pretty useful information. Then you can instantly see which parts of the flow caused confusion without asking anyone a single question. So that's a really great feature. You get the real users feedback. So after each of the steps, these tools ask users what do you think about it? What can you add more? Something like that. And it turns out users are pretty open to share their pains, their feedback, and sometimes they could be very honest, even too much. So be ready for it. And then there is the usability breakdown. So for example, Maze uses AI to give you a structured overview of things like misclick rates, average time spent on each screen, and an overall usability score. It highlights exactly where the drop-offs are and which areas need attention before you build. So, and now, what actually changes when you run this test before you build? And so here's what we see across the projects we work on. First, when you know what users actually need and how they actually behave before you start building, your team starts doing guesswork, which cuts down the iterations you go through during the process, directly leads to faster delivery and shorter time to market. Next, when your users are tested on the product before it goes live, you'll see that they'll know how to navigate it. They don't get stuck. They don't reach out to support, and they don't leave. It cuts down the volume of incoming questions to a support team and keeps your team focused on growth or product development rather than firefighting, explaining simple things, and so on and so forth. And the most important is that when you catch user experience problems before development starts, you're not paying to fix them after. The budget that you plan for the build is the budget you actually spend. No extra rounds of redesign, no planned dev iterations, no surprises, and so on and so forth. But before we wrap up, here are 4 things to keep in mind when you start doing this yourself. These come directly from mistakes we see teams make over and over again. So first, start testing early. A lot of teams wait until Everything is polished before they show it to users. An interactive prototype is all you need to get real, actionable feedback. Next, assumptions are not behavior. Every founder think they know how users will navigate their product, and almost every founder is wrong about at least one critical thing. The only way to know is what users actually think is to watch how they behave. Next is early feedback is cheaper. Every feedback you delay testing is a week of building something that might need to be rebuilt. Getting feedback early remove the biggest risks before they become expensive. And the final one is confusion is data. When a real user gets stuck during a test, that's not like a bad result. This is what you were looking for, and the goal is to find the friction before your real users do. Yeah, and if you want to try this, but I'm not sure where to start or something like that, we're offering a free consultation. So we know that setting up your first real user test can feel overwhelming and complicated. These tools sometimes can be friction. So we'll walk you through the whole thing from scratch. Just scan QR code or reach out directly to me, and I would be happy to help you with that.